This is the Moonlight Graham Show, a freewheeling conversation with the role players, the underdogs, and guys with flat-out great stories in sports.
Hello and welcome back to the Moonlight Baseball Hour, where my brother Neil and I, we pick 3 to 4 topics each and every week. And this week, we're only picking one topic this week because we got to talk about the Field of Dreams TV show. This was something that was announced a year ago, right after the game at the Field of Dreams, actually last August. But it feels like there hasn't been a lot of fanfare on it. It felt like something that was announced, and then a couple months later, you're like, is this something that's actually happening? Is this a real thing? Well, there's been some press releases as of late in the Des Moines Register, online, saw something on Twitter just the other day. And sure enough, they are filming a Field of Dreams television show outside of Des Moines this coming summer. So that's what we're talking about today on the Moonlight Baseball Hour. Enjoy it, my friends.
But before we get to our interview, Moonlighters, are you or someone you know moving down to Kansas City? Well, if you are, the one realtor that we trust is the great Brian Sandvig. As you well know, Brian Sandvig is our producer here on the podcast, and there is not a better residential real estate advisor down in the Kansas City marketplace than Brian Sandvig. Hey, DM us on social media. We'll get you connected with Brian if you can't find him on all the socials, but he is there and he is active, and he is your Kansas City realtor, so give him a call.
We're back on the Moonlight Baseball Hour, and our topic this week is we were going to do 3 to 4 regular topics as we normally do here on the Moonlight Baseball Hour, but some interesting happenings came on in the world of Field of Dreams this past week, and Neil and I made a decision at the last minute to call an audible and to talk about the upcoming Field of Dreams TV show that is going to be filmed in the state of Iowa, right outside of Des Moines. They're not utilizing the upcoming movie or the famous movie site. They're filming it outside of Des Moines, coming up here in July. Neil, last year, after the Field of Dreams game in August, shortly after that, it was announced that there was going to be a TV show by I think Peacock, so NBC Universal, but it was going to be on Peacock about the movie Field of Dreams. What was your initial thought about Field of Dreams, the TV show, when you heard about it a year ago?
I think initially I was kind of, skeptical of it. Not that it wouldn't be a show that I would watch, but it almost seems like one of those things that, you don't want to mess with almost. Like the movie itself is perfect as it is and doesn't need a television show about it. But, I think as we get farther away from the movie, it might be a good opportunity to revisit that story. But then again, we don't know anything about the story or anything like that. So I don't know where they're going to go from it. But initially I was kind of skeptical of it.
Yeah, like all things Field of Dreams, whenever you hear they're going to do something new, automatically like my skeptic flag goes up, right? Oh, they're going to host a game at the Field of Dreams. What do you mean? How's that going to work? Oh, they're going to build a permanent stadium there. What do you mean? They're going to build 20 more fields there. Explain that to me a little bit more. They're going to have a TV show about the movie, The Field of Dreams, or it's called Field of Dreams TV show as the working title right now. What does this mean? And I think Field of Dreams lovers like ourselves, we're really nostalgic about Field of Dreams. But I think what the game proved last year is that if you're able to recreate and capture that magic in a similar way, I'm open. My mind has been opened up to what's next for that. It doesn't have to be something that just lives in the past and on Sundays over at the Field of Dreams. So I'm excited about this project because I think I trust the guy that's doing it. So Mike Schur is going to be the creator of this show. Mike Schur, Neil, most famously, Cousin Mose from The Office, one of your favorites.
That's right. Yeah. And, I didn't know, I knew he was a television producer. I knew that, Cousin Mose was one of the guys who produced The Office. But what you had kind of brought me up to speed on, Tim, was just how kind of tuned into the baseball world he is too. Like you had mentioned, he was one of the writers on that original firejoemorgan.com website from 20 years ago or 15 years ago, whenever that was. So he's been a writer. I think he's currently has a baseball podcast. He's produced baseball content before in the past. So it seems like they got a good guy to do it, like a good guy he has the baseball chops, but he also has the television producer chops too to put together a good show.
Yeah, exactly right. If you look at Mike Schur's IMDb, he's hitting like 900. Like from Saturday Night Live, where he won some Emmys, to The Comeback on HBO, to The Office, to Parks and Rec, to Brooklyn 999. Like every one of these shows has been a huge hit. So that's awesome, right? But all of these shows too have been comedies. So that's one thing that gives me a little bit of pause. I'm like, wait a minute. Everything I've liked about The Field of Dreams is it's very earnest. It's very real and true. And like Kevin Costner, there's never a punchline in the movie Field of Dreams, right? They accept that what they're doing is crazy, but they're not making fun of it in any way. It's very, very wholesome and earnest. Are they going to be able to replicate the same way in the TV show, or are they going to take it a different direction where they're mocking it a little bit? They're mocking the state of Iowa a little bit. That's kind of what I'm more concerned about than them trying to do a Field of Dreams TV show. So that's a little bit of my concern, Neil.
Yeah, I agree completely. Even with Field of Dreams specifically, it's like there's a really fine line with Field of Dreams. And some people would even claim that Field of Dreams kind of goes over the line into like hokiness. Like I'm not going to go there, but you could almost say that like you could go too far with the earnestness where it almost seems a little bit hokey and cheesy or something like that. So it's a really fine line that he's going to have to thread with the show. But then again, we don't even know what the show or the plot is going to be about. So, it might not even be the vibe he's going to go for. It'll be interesting to see when more information comes out.
Yeah, we don't know anything. We don't know if it's the Kinsella family. We don't know if it's modern day. We don't know if it's 1988. We don't know if there's ghosts coming out of the corn. And if they are coming out of the corn, are they like modern baseball players? Are they the Black Sox? We have literally no idea. The shocking thing to me is they're not using the original movie site. So it's going to be something totally different. What are your thoughts around that, Neil?
Yeah, I know. And well, let's go back to what do we know? So that you said we know that they're not using the original movie site. That's one thing. Is that the only thing we know?
Okay, here's what we know.
Yeah.
We know they're not using the original movie site. We know that they're going to begin filming in July. We know that a lot of the filming is going to happen just north of Des Moines. So I've heard there's like 4 locations out there. 2 of them are in the Des Moines area. 2 of them are in more rural parts of Iowa. We know that they're going to be using Musco lighting to light the field. We know that they're using Iowa turf, Iowa sports turf to build the field. We know that they're utilizing a company out of Clear Lake for a lot of the production, and they're going to be using a lot of local people for extras and for the baseball scenes. So those are the things we know right now outside of Mike Schur being the guy behind it.
Okay.
But they have not announced any cast members, although they've hinted that like we're going to know the names of the cast members. They'll be recognizable names, and there's going to be like a big time Hollywood person is tied to this. We just don't know who that is yet.
Okay. Yeah, and so like you had mentioned, I'm excited about this project for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned. I like that it's being filmed in Iowa, but the fact that it's going to be away from the original movie site, it almost tells me that they're going to go a different angle than maybe what the movie was. Because a lot of what made the movie great was just the location, how beautiful that part of Iowa is, how that the field itself blends into the scenery and all that sort of thing. And you could find that in other parts of Iowa too, don't get me wrong, but it almost tells me maybe they're going to go a different route with it too. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. It just tells me that it might be a little bit different route that they're going to go with it.
I wonder if it's like a guy is going to build his own baseball field again. Like you would think that would have to happen, right? Or I wonder if the movie Field of Dreams exists within the world as a movie or as a reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, does Ray Kinsella exist in this world of the TV show, or does the movie Field of Dreams exist in this TV show?
Yeah, what I would kind of like, and like I said, I don't know anything, but I would like to kind of follow, young Archie Graham as he's traveling around the Midwest, going to small towns to play baseball. In the Field of Dreams world. I don't know. I guess I don't know how that would work because Archie Graham in the movie is, magically finds himself in like 1980s when he's from the 1920s. So I don't know how that works.
In the corn at the end, he goes.
He goes.
He crosses back.
Yeah. Maybe the movie would be set before he goes back into the corn.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. We're just speculating, but I'm excited about it. And here's one of the main reasons why I'm excited about it is because I randomly saw a tweet on Twitter from a guy that I follow named Greg Olson, who was, I think, the 1991 AL Rookie of the Year. So I follow him on Twitter. Randomly, he tweets out a couple of days ago that says, hey, if you're in Boston or Des Moines, follow me, send me a note, and I'll send you a DM. So I just kind of replied to him. I said, hey, I'm in Des Moines. What do you need? And he sends me a DM last night, and he says, hey, I'm looking to put together a group of baseball players for a Field of Dreams thing. Do you live in Des Moines? And I'm like, hey, man, you called the right guy. If you're looking to put together a baseball game and it has to do with the Field of Dreams, I am your guy. And so then he sends me the flyer. What he is doing, what Greg Olson is doing, is he is maybe the baseball guy behind the scenes that is in charge of all the baseball scenes in the movie to make sure, or in the TV show, to make sure they look legit. And so what he's doing is he's trying to put together a team of ex-baseball guys that still look like they're players in a uniform, have either played high-level college baseball or professional baseball. He was really insistent, like, these got to be really, really good baseball players. And so he wanted to make sure everybody that I talked to had some professional experience. He also said high-level college will do as well. But he's trying to put together a team of the guys that are going to be playing baseball in the TV show are going to be local Des Moines, Iowa guys. And so I sent in my information today to the Field of Dreams casting people. And I sent it around to some folks we've had on the podcast and some other baseball guys that I know, with the hopes that the guys in the show are going to be, like me and my baseball buddies, or people that we've had here on the podcast. Now, that's kind of a pipe dream, but I think it would be kind of cool.
Yeah, Tim, that'd be awesome. And, this is kind of like what we had kind of hoped for maybe when we were going to the Field of Dreams game in the last summer, that making this podcast or something would get us like connected to Field of Dreams in some way that would get you a leg up or something to be involved in in a project like this. So this is like kind of a dream come true for you, maybe.
I know. I mean, the worst thing that could happen here is if I go through the audition process or whatever they have you do, and then they're like, yep, we want that guy in the show as a, background baseball player. And then they're like, oh, but we need you for 2 weeks, at this time. And, obviously I have a real job. I travel sometimes for my real job. I can't take 2 weeks off. I could make like like 2 days work, right? If they're like, I need to block off 2 days and like film all your baseball scenes in a couple of days. Heck yeah, count me in. I can figure out how to make that work. But if it's something that's like 2-3 weeks, or like, what if they give me a character? What if I'm like a role in the show?
Yeah. What if you have lives?
What if I have lives? What if I'm part of the Actors Guild?
What if you got to go to the Emmys or something like that too? That'd be a chore.
Right. Like, who's going to sell insurance if I'm at the Emmys? These are the questions that we need to be talking about. But it would just be awesome to put on a uniform and just be in the background of the show, and you could see me playing baseball. Or it doesn't even have to be me. I would be almost just as tickled to see someone I know on the show. Right.
Yeah, no. Well, it wasn't that was how the original movie went too. Like I know Dad had mentioned he spotted some Ghost players that he knew that were local Dyersville guys, right?
Exactly. If you watch it today, like a lot of the Ghost players, the local Ghost players were guys that were in the movie. Like the 25th anniversary deal a couple of years ago, half of those guys were Ghost players in the movie. The guy that hits Ray Kinsilla's curveball, and it looks like it's Shoeless Joe Jackson. That was just a Dyersville guy that had a laser back up the middle. And so that's going to be a cool part of this show, knowing that all of these baseball guys in the show are going to be local dudes.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of gives me more hope too that they got a baseball guy who's covering the baseball aspects of the movie. So that at least that part of it, and I don't know if he has movie experience or anything like that, but at least that part of it should look legit.
Right.
And I know that's kind of can be a turnoff for a lot of us when we watch sports movies and when they show, especially baseball, and they show a guy who just like can't throw, but he's playing baseball. So if they can get that right, I think they're off to a good start.
Yeah, Olsen was pretty clear, like, make sure these guys are good players. They're still in shape. They still play. They played at a high level. And he was pretty clear on that. So I would think that, the 10 to 15 guys that end up doing this are all going to be really good. And, whoever the actors are that they have to do it with, they can meld them in seamlessly. The other thing is if you've played a lot of baseball, it's not really that hard to look like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can at least look like you're comfortable out in the field, whether you might not be actually fielding a lot of balls or throwing a lot of balls, but you at least look like you know what you're doing when you're out on the field.
Right. Like if Sam Moret, right, the golfer on the show, he's a long way from the PGA Tour, but if you put him in a golf movie, you would think he was, the next big thing. Yeah. Same thing with the type of guys here on the show. Like if you've played high-level college baseball, at least, you're going to the average person watching a TV show, you might think I'm Mike Trout.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what that tells us about, if that tells us anything at all about what the story itself is going to be about. Like the fact that that Greg Olsen is prioritizing high-level players. Does that tell us anything about, is the story, is it going to be, high-level minor league baseball set in Iowa or that's being played? Like it doesn't sound like it's going to be rinky-dink little league baseball that's being played in this, Field of Dreams show. I don't know if it tells us anything at all.
It tells me that the baseball is going to be a lot better than what we saw maybe in the movie The Final Season or the movie Summer Catch. If you remember Summer Catch, like those are some movies that just had a lot of really bad baseball in them. And so maybe this one will be better than that. And so that gets me excited. And so I've emailed the casting director. I don't know if they're looking for a big right-hander, I'm the guy, but if they're not, if they don't want gas off the mound, then it's not the show for me.
You may have to turn them down then.
Yeah. It would be also kind of cool being like, you have an offer from, NBC Universal and you're like, hey, sorry guys, I got to propose this insurance policy in Arkansas and I can't make it.
That would be something to say. I turned down NBC's offer.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all we know right now. If you're a high-level baseball player, you've played, high-level college baseball, you played professional baseball, you're listening right now, and you are interested, or someone that is interested in being a part of this show, let me know. I can get you in touch with the right people. Essentially, I'll show you what you would need to send into a specific email address that I've been given. So yeah, it's exciting. Neil, I guess, now's your time. Start working out and start hitting the batting cages and getting it ready for you.
Yeah. Do I need to make a video or something? Even because I didn't play high level baseball, maybe I need to, North Central Conference, say what you will. I mean, maybe that is high level, but maybe I need to, work on my game a little bit, put together a highlight tape and submit it to Greg Olsen to see if he can get me accepted in it.
regardless of what happens, when this show comes out, I'm watching every episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when was the last time a good baseball movie or show came out that we liked? There was the one where the girl was like playing.
So that was called The Pitch, and it was actually pretty good.
I had heard people say it was pretty good. I never watched it though.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And fun fact, Greg Olson did all the baseball stuff for that one.
Oh, okay.
But I watched that show, and I remember thinking it felt like they were kind of force feeding us a storyline, right? Oh, it's the first girl player in the major leagues. You know, it felt like they were really trying to do that.
Yeah.
Everything around that, the show was good. Like the locker room stuff felt real. The baseball was pretty good. She threw pretty well. You know, like they had to doctor the ball a little bit because they made it seem like she had this special pitch. Like that was the thing. It's like she had a special pitch that nobody thought of, like the gyro ball was her kind of special pitch. But yeah, it was a decent show. But yeah, to your point, like it lasted one season. We haven't had something that's really good in a while. Before I guess we wrap up, one other great movie that was made into a great TV show, and they've tried doing this for years, but on the sports side, Friday Night Lights. So when the TV show Friday Night Lights came out, everybody moaned and groaned thinking like, you can't, that was a great sports movie. You can never do it the same. And, you know, they went a totally different direction with the show, but the show was great.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tim. And I didn't watch the show, but did the show have the same vibe as the movie did?
Nope.
No, I think it was completely different.
Well, similar vibe in that
Similar
like
vibe. Okay.
a Texas town that was crazy about high school football, but it didn't follow like the true story of, you know, the movie Friday Night Lights, which is based off the book. It was just kind of like crazy small town, West Texas football, you know, and you had Varsity Blues that was before that, but it was like, no, we're going to be the serious kind of it, but it had like an A+ cast, you know, like Riggs was famous and you had Kyle Chandler was the coach. You had Minka Kelly was the hot girl. It was a really good show. You had Michael B. Jordan was in that show.
That's right. Yeah. Huh.
So
anyways,
we can get that.
So it might be like that. That's the model to follow.
Yeah, I'll call Mike Schur up and I'll let him know that, hey, Friday Night Lights the show. We'll do something like that.
Yeah, that's good advice.
If anything, Neil, it's just kind of funny that Cousin Mose is going to be in Iowa on a baseball field, and I just love everything about that.
Yeah. Yeah, even if the show doesn't turn out like we want it to, at least we can say we got Mose here.
And you know what? Mose was at the Field of Dreams game. We could have ran into him.
We probably did. We were too busy fawning over Kevin Costner that we didn't notice Mose walk right by us.
We should go through our phones looking through the old pictures. Mose is probably in the background of a couple.
Yeah, Mose is just standing in the cornfield, just like peering over his shoulder at us.
All right, that's Moonlight Baseball Hour for this week. Neil, anything else?
That's all I got, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Tell Lou hi.
I will.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Moonlight Baseball Hour. Special thank you, of course, to our great sponsors over at the People's Company, peoplescompany.com. You have the newly married Matt Adams. You have the great showman, Andrew Zelmer. Those guys are the best in the business when it comes to farming, farm auctions, farmland management. Call the People's Company and Matt Adams and Andrew Zelmer. And you know what? Tell them the Moonlight Graham Show sent you. Of course, special thank you to the guys on the Moonlight team, Brother Neil, Andy, Tommy Griffin, Brendan Gargano, Brian Sambig. The Moonlight team's pretty darn good. And thank you to you, the listeners, the Moonlighters out there. Thank you guys for listening, for supporting the show. Have a great weekend, Moonlighters.
It's Moonlight Graham, yeah. It's a pretty good program, broadcasting to the heartland. Sports stories for the everyman. It's Moonlight Graham, yeah. Please follow us on Instagram. on Twitter too. You download every pod we do. It's Moonlight Graham.